Welcome back. It's part three of 100 ways to spend your gap year. And today we're going to be talking about travel experiences. So I'm going to try and keep these ideas general so that you can make them apply to you and your dreams for your gap year. But first up, an idea for travel is just to go visit some great wonders. Taj Mahal has been one of my all time favorites. I would say that it is one of those places that people go to that actually lives up to the hype. And what is that for you? Where do you want to go? What are these great locations, whether they're natural or man made, that you want to see on your gap year? Make it happen. If you're thinking about a way to meaningfully engage in travel, have you thought about a heritage trip? This means that you go to some place where you have extended family or where you have your ancestral ties. This is Cuba. I had a student a few years ago go to Cuba on a heritage trip. I've had students go all over the world to explore their ancestry and maybe even meet family that they haven't gotten to spend time with or haven't ever met before. It's such an amazing way to experience a different culture because it's actually your culture. If you want to anchor your gap time to meaningful travel in a new way, consider a cultural exchange. Now, the activities that are in cultural exchange can sometimes be language immersion related or service related, but the central tenet of a cultural immersion program is that you are sharing your culture and that you are receiving and immersing yourself in a different culture. A few years ago, my student Nick went to northern India to stay with the Lepcha people, which is an indigenous community in northern India near Sikkim. And these are kinds of experiences can really expand your worldview, and it's just an amazing way to travel and experience a new place. I love to eat. And so when I'm thinking about where I want to travel, I'm also thinking about what food cultures I want to experience. And if you're anything like that too, this is a great thing to brainstorm when you're considering where to travel on your gap year. So whether you want to learn how to make pasta in Italy or experience pho on a traditional street corner in Vietnam, there are so many culinary traditions to experience, and your gap year is a great time to do it. Thinking about a hobby or skill that you want to experience in a new culture is another great way to brainstorm where you could spend some gap time or where you might want to travel. Jael here is a dancer, and she went down to South America and spent time in Brazil and Colombia and some other countries and got to experience dance culture and take dance classes in those places. So, this is an example of a great way to leverage a skill or interest in a new way. Think about the outdoor experiences that would inspire you on your gap year. Obviously, Machu Picchu is on a lot of people's bucket lists, but National Geographic actually makes some amazing books like 100 Hikes of a Lifetime or Destinations to See Before You Die, those kinds of books. And they can provide a lot of inspiration about what scenery you want to experience on your gap year and what could really be an amazing adventure to have. Go to the place that speaks the language you've been learning in high school or the language that you want to learn. Language learning is a lifelong skill. It's also great for your brain. It keeps your brain active during your gap year. And you can go to places like France and enjoy language school, meet new people, and get to speak that language in the real world, which is so much better than a classroom. Think about places that you can go on your gap year that might be hard to get to in other times of life. So, this is my student Avery. He's in New Zealand in this photo, and yeah, New Zealand is almost the furthest you can get from where he's from in New Hampshire, but that's the time. This is the time to do it. So think about, where you might want to fling yourself that it might be harder to do later in life. I'm such a fan of backpacking as an activity to do on gap time in any region, really, but Europe, Southeast Asia, places that have really good public transit systems. There's a lot of places in Latin America too that are great for backpacking. So, you know, this is not the same as having an outdoor backpacking adventure. That's a different type of backpacking. This type of backpacking is that traditional gap year, rite of passage kind of journey where you're taking Eurorails around Europe or you're taking buses around Asia and you're really seeing a lot of different places, staying in hostels, meeting other travelers. And this type of activity is not only amazing because you get to see so much, but you also get to experience independence, budgeting skills, and problem solving skills. Trust me, there'll be problem solving skills that you get to experience. If that idea of traveling is really exciting to you, but you're like, ooh, I don't want to do that alone, rest assured there are a lot of gap year programs where you can actually travel as a group. Sometimes they even include group leaders and people who are mentoring you throughout the experience and really helping you with the logistics. So, the Gap Year Association is an awesome resource for finding programs where you can actually experience a different area of the world in a group setting. And then, maybe you'll feel confident in traveling on your own after that kind of experience. But these are super fun social experiences where you get to learn a lot and meet other Gap Year students.